Some of these letters written by Muhammad to leaders of other countries in his day, some of which are still with us, were often a prelude to attack, but in all cases conveyed Muhammad's conviction that the recipient was doomed unless he accepted God's truth as revealed in the Quran. The practice was revived by the Islamic Republic of Iran, which, like the Prophet Muhammad, Khomeini aspired to global ascendance. Make no mistake about it. 6 months before his death in 1989, the Ayatollah Khomeini wrote a similar letter to Mikhail Gorbachev. In mid-2006, newly elected, quote-unquote, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad wrote an 8-page message to President George W. Bush, the so-called Iranian president, who never harmed an ant, he says, pronounced Western-style liberal democracy a failure and declared Bush a hypocrite and invited him to convert. That works every time. That works every time. That's why I personally have converted to about 15 different religions, because I've had people holding a Bible in one hand and their finger pointing in my face in the other, saying I'd better become this or that. I'm not going to incriminate any of these people by referring to their identity. The letter to Bush closes with a famous phrase in Arabic, which I can't read. I'm not ashamed to say so. But I wish I could. I wish I could read it. But I can't. I am ashamed. I can't read it. But the phrase means, peace unto those who follow the true path. And some render this line, peace only to those who follow the true path, which only the Iranian ragheads have, of course. The same words, these are the same words that Muhammad used to close his messages to the Byzantine and Persian emperors. In both cases, Muhammad's letters were preludes to war. In short, the Prophet offered a choice. You have a choice: Islam or the sword. Khomeini set out at once to establish Iranian hegemony over the Muslim Middle East, entrusting the details of this vital task to his designated successor, Ayatollah Hussein Ali Montazeri. In short order, the region was shaken by a series of spectacular events, often timed to take place within days or even hours of each other. The pattern became a calling card of the mullahs and was later repeated by Al-Qaeda. The first sequence began on November 4th, 1979, with the seizure of the American embassy in Tehran, the capture of American embassy personnel, and an international crisis that lasted 444 days, the remainder of the Carter presidency. On November 20th, 400 pilgrims on Hajj in Mecca occupied the Grand Mosque, taking several hundred hostages, calling for the overthrow of the ruling Saudi royal family and the end of all ties to the West. So when Ron Paul acts as the spokesman for bin Laden, he's also acting as the spokesman for the corrupt raghead dictatorship of Iran, which tries not only to hijack and take control over the Iranian people, but all Muslims worldwide. I'm going to repeat that. On November 20th, 1979, 400 so-called pilgrims on the Hajj in Mecca, or pilgrimage to the holy place of Mecca, occupied the Grand Mosque, taking several hundred hostages, calling for the overthrow of the ruling Saudi royal family and the end of all ties to the West. So who is really at fault here? Who is the enemy? Who is the troublemaker? Is the United States to blame? Are the Muslim people to blame? Or is it not a few radical dictators, such as the Ayatollah Khomeini? Remember in 1979, the Grand Mosque in Mecca was taken over and held hostage. And the hostage takers in this Muslim holy place demanded that the Arab world break all ties with the West. The Grand Mosque became a battleground. It took 2 weeks of tough fighting and some 250 dead, including scores of Saudi National Guardsmen and hundreds wounded, to reestablish order. Ron Paul says these 250 died because America was over there. If only America wasn't over there. That's the problem. It's America's, Ron Paul says. And some people blame Muslims in general. I don't blame Muslims in general, nor do I blame the United States. I blame the raghead cult leaders in the Arab world who are seeking power for themselves. It was widely rumored that French and Jordanian special forces had helped defeat the Iranian-sponsored assault on one of the holiest sites in the Islamic world. It was said that the French commandos received an instant conversion to Islam so that they could enter the holy place. 77 participants were captured and beheaded. The assault on the Grand Mosque had a significant footnote: the first appearance of the name Bin Laden in conjunction with a terrorist attack. Osama bin Laden's brother was apparently involved in the operation and was miraculously spared the executioner's scimitar. He even gained early release from prison, abandoned political activism, and subsequently devoted all his energies to the family business. Iran immediately blamed the United States for the desecration of the mosque, and the following day a mob assaulted the American embassy in Pakistan. So again, I ask the question, who is at fault? Is it the United States? Is it the Muslim people in general? Or is it not a handful of crazy, power-mad cult leaders who happen to be Arabic?